Hi everyone, it's me, Mrs. Groner, and today we are going to create a life cycle of the frog art project. Let's take a look at what we need. You need a paper plate. You need green, white, and black paper if you have it. You need glue. At least one marker or crayons. You need labels and scissors. We'll talk about the labels first because we're making the life cycle of the frog. So our labels need to say the different stages in the life cycle. I want you to do this first. Take out your marker or crayon and write eggs, tadpole, froglet, and frog. Those are all of the different stages in the frog's life cycle. Okay, now we're going to begin with the paper plate. So you want your paper plate like this. It makes it a little bit easier to do this project if you fold the paper plate into quarters, which is 4 sections. I'll show you how to do that. Fold the paper plate in half and then fold the paper plate in half the other way. That way you have 4 different places on your paper plate to make what you need. Okay, got it? That's it. Now, I have 4 sections. So, what's the first stage in the life cycle of a frog? Well, a frog begins its life as an egg. So I'm going to take my white paper and I'm going to draw frog eggs. Remember, frog eggs look like circles. So I'm going to draw circles. It's pretty simple, lots of circles. And inside those circles is a black dot. That's the baby frog before it starts to grow. I'm going to draw a lot of these circles kind of close together to make it a little bit easier for me to cut out. Maybe some of the baby frogs are a little bit bigger than others. Okay, I got it. I have a lot of circles with dots in the center. Remember, the dots are the baby frogs growing inside those little eggs. Love it. So now I take my scissors and I'm going to cut. I'm not going to take a lot of time to cut each one of the eggs out. You may want to do that. It will make your project look better, but I don't want to waste a lot of your time, so I'm going to cut around the eggs. I'll do that. I'll do a little bit better job of cutting around. If cutting's harder for you, you can also cut around the eggs because then you'll still have your eggs on your paper plate to show the life cycle of the frog. There we go. So now I have my eggs all cut. I take my glue. Remember, when we use glue, we only use a little bit. There's no reason to make a big puddle of glue on your paper. You only need a little. It glues a lot better. So I'm going to dot the glue onto this. I think I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dots. That's it, 7. Now I'm going to take and glue my eggs to the first section of my paper plate. Perfect. See those eggs? They even stick off a little. I like the way that looks. Now, think about the frog. When it grows, it begins its life as an egg. Then what happens? When the egg hatches, it's not a frog. It's a tadpole. So I get to draw a cute baby tadpole, maybe 2 if I want to, on my green paper. Let me show you an easy way to draw a tadpole. Most tadpoles have fairly round heads, so I'm going to start with a nice big circle. And then remember, a tadpole is more like a fish than a frog. So then I'm going to draw the tadpole tail right there. And an eye. There's my little tadpole, maybe a little mouth. And I think I'll draw 2 of those because I'd like to have 2 tadpoles in my picture. So another circle head, cute little mouth, eye, and a fishy tail. Ah, there we go. That one's a little bit cuter than that one. Maybe I should fix his mouth. Poor little guy. There. Now, I'll take and cut out my 2 tadpoles. If cutting's hard, it's okay to cut around the tadpoles and not cut every little part. It's a lot easier that way. If you notice with my tadpole, I didn't cut it out perfectly. I cut around. It makes things work a lot easier and faster. So here we go. Here are my 2 cute little tadpoles. Now, I'm going to add those to the next section of my paper plate. To the next section. So I start with egg, and then I have tadpoles. So I'm going to glue my tadpoles on. Remember, just a little bit of glue. I think 3 dots for each tadpole. 1, 2, 3. Put this one here. And let me glue the next one down. 1, 2, 3. There we go. 3 dots of glue. And now I have 2 little tadpoles swimming on my plate. This guy doesn't want to stick. I think I should press him. Sometimes we have that problem when we're gluing. Things don't stick. The best way to make them stick is to just press where you put the glue and hold for about 10 seconds, rubbing it. Now he's on there great. Okay, so first I have eggs, then tadpoles. Then what happens? Well, the tadpole starts to become a frog. It turns into a froglet. So now I'm going to draw the froglet. The froglet is a tadpole, but it starts to grow little frog legs, and sometimes its tail gets a little bit shorter. So I'm going to draw a picture right here of my froglet. I'm going to do it the same way that I did my tadpole, with a nice little circle head, a little bit of a tadpole tail. I think I'll make it a bit shorter. And then, see my shorter tail there? And then some little legs, little froggy legs. There we go. Ooh, froggy legs. Right there. Ah, there's a froggy leg. I'm going to make 2 of those little froglets. They're so cute. 2 little froglets right there. Eye, mouth, shorter tail, and a little leg. Now this is the part of the frog's life where it's in between becoming a frog and being a tadpole. So now I'm going to cut out those 2 little froglets. Pretty cute little guys. And I'm doing the same thing where I'm cutting around them. I'm not worried about cutting out every single little part because that's not the most important thing. Okay, so now these are smaller than my tadpoles, so I think I might just use 2 dots of glue on each. Dot, 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 dot. Perfect. Now I'll glue those to the next section of my paper plate. Froglet and froglet. There we go. That froglet needs to be held down for a moment before he sticks. Ah, great. Now, what's the last part of the frog's life cycle? It begins as an egg. When it hatches from the egg, it's a tadpole. Then it becomes a froglet and starts to grow legs. At the end of the life cycle, it is a frog. So now I get to draw myself a frog. I'm going to go ahead and use my green paper to draw a frog. I make my frogs in a certain way that's kind of easy for me. I kind of make a big oval. I'll show you. I'm going to draw kind of a lopsided oval with a little bit smaller head. but really it is very oval. So there we go. There's my oval shape. Now, to make it a frog, I put 2 eyes right on the top, 2 big circle eyes, because frogs have nice big circle eyes. And then give him some cutie eyeballs right there. See that? There are the eyes. Now I'm going to draw a mouth right on the front of that frog body. There's my cute little frog mouth. Look at that. And now my frog needs some legs. The legs are the harder part. So I'm going to show you. I go up and down and over with some froggy feet. And up and down and over with froggy feet. Now I have 2 legs on my frog, and he needs little hands in the center. So I just draw the hands down the middle. It's fairly easy. Draw some sticks and little froggy hands and sticks and froggy hands, and there we go. I usually like to put spots on my frogs because frogs aren't solid. So when I finish, I'm going to go back and add some coloring. I'm going to do the same thing again where I cut around the frog. So much easier than trying to cut out, especially the little frog toes. A lot of the time when you try to cut out frog toes, you end up cutting the whole foot off, and then it's frustrating. So it's a lot easier if we just cut around. Okay, there we go. Now I can glue my frog down. So I'm going to put some glue, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little glue pieces right there. And then my frog is going to go on my plate. There we go, just like that. Okay, so now I have the life cycle. Eggs, tadpoles, froglets, frog. Now I want to take the labels that I made and cut those out. So here are my labels. I'm going to cut all of those out at one time like I did with my plant project. So I'm cutting a big strip like that. That way I don't have to make too many cuts. And I'm going to cut each one of the words out. There we go. Each word is cut out. Now, eggs. I need to glue the word eggs next to the eggs. I think I'm going to glue them to the very top so they kind of stick off the word. So here's my eggs. Here's the word eggs, and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to glue it just like this at the very top of my project. Right there. Eggs. Now, I have to have tadpole. Tadpole should fit right onto the edge of the plate. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 dots of glue and tadpole. This might take a second to hold because I'm gluing it straight to the plate. So I'm going to give it a minute. There. Now, froglet. I can do the same thing with the froglet. Glue it to just the edge of the plate. Right there. Great froglet. And last of all, the end of the life cycle is frog. I think I'm going to put my glue right there and glue it right to the back of the frog so you can see the word right behind the frog. There we go. Gluing it right there. There we go. Now, here we go. Now, I can teach other people in my family and my friends all about the life cycle of the frog. Remember, the frog's life begins with the eggs, then it becomes a tadpole, it turns into a froglet, and last of all, it's a frog. And the life cycle begins again. Have fun making your frog life cycles. Post your pictures when you're done.